This summer, Derby County introduced a B team, and over the course of recent weeks, I've had a lot of comments from a lot of different Derby County fans asking what a B team is and what the intention of it is with Derby County. Now, obviously, for those of you who don't know, the B team is an extension to Derby County's academy. It is a step up from the under-21s, but a step below our first team picture. Now, obviously, for Derby County, the introduction of a B team opens up that door for having some older heads be more there for developmental reasons. It also gives those younger players an opportunity to play against more senior pros. Now, obviously, during the course of any upcoming season, we know that injuries can potentially become a problem. And having a B team gives those players the opportunity to play against other seniors as they look to return to full fitness. Now, across the course of this video, I'm going to go through all the reasons why I believe Derby County have introduced a B team and what I think the benefits are. Now, you can obviously let me know your thoughts down in the comments. And if you have not done so already, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and turn on that notification bell. Let me know your thoughts on the B team down in the comments. Make sure you check out the likes of CD Keys, NordVPN, and Kitbag down in the description. But shall we get into talking all about the B team? Head on over to raffle.com, linked down in the description, so that you can get yourselves into the raffle to win 2 Derby County home tickets or a 2025-26 DCFC kit of your choice. Tickets start at just £1 per ticket, with a range of different bundles available to you, where you can buy 2 tickets, get 2 free, 5 tickets, get 5 free, 10 tickets to get 10 free, and 15 tickets for 15 free. All you need to do is head on over to Derby County's website, get yourself a fan ID. So if you are the winner of this raffle, I can send you over those tickets, and all you have to do is enter a question just a little bit about Jamie Carragher and what club he played at for his entire career. So if you haven't done so already, head on over to raffle.com, linked in the description, so that you can join the raffle for 2 Derby County home tickets or a 2025-26 DCFC kit of your choice. Now, obviously, Derby County have a quite decent football academy, and that obviously opens the door for players to be able to make that step up until the first team. Now, the big problem with that for me that comes without having a B team is that those players have to go and move away from Derby in order to get their development, in order to seek loan moves elsewhere, which, don't get me wrong, isn't the worst case scenario, and it makes sense. Players going out and seeking first team professional football, in some cases also semi-pro football as well, and I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. But by having that first team picture and by having that B team just underneath it, it gives the opportunity for those players to be mentored and developed by players that the Derby County coaches have brought in order for that specific role. Now, obviously, for Derby County, as they sort of move forward across the course of the next few weeks, what is very, very important is making sure that those young players, the likes of a Cruz Allen, the likes of an Io McAndrew, a Luke Banks, get those opportunities to learn with first team senior pros who know what it's like to fight for 3 points and know what it's like to battle the highs of promotion and the lows of relegation. And also those players that have obviously been through an academy system as well. Now, we've seen similar situations like this happen before with B teams and under-21s, where some teams in the Premier League have taken on those senior pros with masses of experience just a couple of years before the end of their career and inputted them into their 21 squad in order to give that sort of mentorship and give them an opportunity to develop, not just in terms of being a mentor, but also in terms of being a player, a coach, and learning what those younger pros do need. Now, for me, the big thing for Derby County in this situation is, obviously, at the moment, we have a massive squad in terms of that first team picture. And if you look at what could potentially be a part of our B team, I think there's some very, very good senior pros. And it also gives that opportunity for a player like Curtis Nelson, a player like Sondre Langas, all to return within their own time and to make sure that they are ready before any move actually happens. Now, obviously, as Derby County move forward through the course of this season and future seasons, where they're obviously going to be utilising this B team setup, we might also see players that are 21, 22, brought into the squad that maybe aren't brought in as first team players, but players who can potentially step up to that next level across the course of maybe a year or so of development. Players that they have high hopes for. And we've seen teams like Brentford do this before. And don't get me wrong, I don't necessarily think it's a great model to go down, but I think it's one that could reap massive, massive rewards for Derby County, and that's obviously something that Derby County need. In our current position as a Championship club, you've got to be able to find revenue, and that comes from either bringing players through your academy that can play at first team level and go on to play potentially in the Premier League or other Championship clubs, or it's bringing in those academy players that haven't made it elsewhere and have been put together and put in a room essentially with a load of talent like them who they can potentially develop off. And for me, that is very, very impressive for Derby County, and it's something that needs to be done a lot better. Now, do I think that this is going to have a positive impact for Derby? Yes, but I also do think that there's also negative sides to it. I think if you then look at the situation in regards to the academy and the first team, it creates a little bit of a bigger divide. Now, I'm not saying that there's a big divide at Derby County in terms of first team and academy. I'm not going to say that at all, because I don't believe that to be the case. But what I do believe to be the case is that once you implement another step to the first team, it makes it feel like it's a little bit further away. And obviously, for Derby County, the main aim has to be getting those academy talents into the first team. We've seen it over the course of recent years with the likes of Dejan Brown, Jake Rooney. We've now got the likes of Lennon Wilden, Charles Abuka looking to take that next step into the first team as well. And hopefully soon enough, we'll see the likes of Cruz Allen and Niall McAndrew trying to make that step up as well. But in order to do that, they've got to feel as if there's a pathway there. And I think with the introduction of a B team, it just makes it seem like there's an extra step, a step that they weren't prepared for a few months ago, let alone a few years ago. Now, I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. I actually think the B team could have a positive impact on the future of these academy footballers that are coming through at Derby County, because if you say that Bobby Clark is going to be playing with Cruz Allen, it gives you that opportunity of learning, and I think that's what a Cruz Allen needs. He needs to learn off of Bobby Clark. He needs to learn off of Rhian Brewster and players like that, because that's how you get better as a footballer. And they might not yet be ready to be training daily with the first team, but they also might show that they're a lot more capable than the coaching staff maybe think when you put them in situations with those type of players. And for me personally, I've always felt as if you can never write a player off. You've got to put them in the situation. You look at a player like Erin Cashin, nearly didn't sign at Derby County due to the ownership at the time, not thinking he needed a contract. Festi Ebiseli was another one. Both players now contracted to first division teams. Obviously, you've got Cashin, who's contracted to Brighton on loan at Birmingham, and then you've got Festi Ebiseli, who's currently playing in the top flight over in Turkey. You've got the likes of you've got other players who, in my opinion, maybe could have made that step up, but ultimately weren't given the opportunity. And that then meant that they ended up falling by the wayside, which is where the B team can sort of step in and give those players a little bit of extra development. You look at a player like Courtney Clark, who's now playing at Warsaw. You look at someone like Emil Rees Jacobson, who went back to his homeland before then ending up at Preston and now obviously at Bristol City. And I think the big thing for me is that having a B team can be absolutely tremendous. It can open up doors for academy players. It can open up doors for players who leave the likes of Chelsea, the likes of Spurs, the likes of Arsenal, the likes of Manchester United, and give them a second chance at playing in the Football League and giving themselves that opportunity. Now, the big question will be, can Derby County get that done, and can they make those moves happen across the course of a season? Can they make those deals happen at the end of a season where you bring in those players that could potentially make their way into our first team? Can they go and look abroad at young talents like that? And I personally think that that is the aim of this B team, if I'm completely honest. It's going out, picking up those young free agents that maybe haven't quite made it somewhere else, but give them another opportunity, give them a chance to prove a point. And I think other clubs have done it really well. Brentford have done it well. Leicester, not necessarily with a B team, but they did it well in picking up those young talents that maybe weren't given the time of day, essentially, and they gave them the time of day. And look at like where the likes of Mahrez has gone. Look at where N'Golo Kante has gone. Look at obviously Jamie Vardy as well, one of the top goal scorers in Premier League history. And I think it's really important that we note that down as well, because this can have a huge impact going forward. You look at some of the players we've looked at over recent years from that sort of non-league position, and I think if you have that B team set up where they can go filter in and build up their fitness levels and learn first team professional football, then I think that is a brilliant opportunity. But we're going to have to wait and see how it does go. If you have not done so already, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and turn on that notification bell. Let me know your thoughts on this down in the comments. Obviously, if you haven't done so already, make sure you check out all my other channels linked in the description as well as taking a look at NordVPN, CD keys, and Kitbag. But I'll catch you in my next video.